And we're looking at percents today. And I mentioned that we are going to review a lot. It's not even that much new material, although there are some concepts here that might be new to some of you. All right, what's this whole chapter about? Chapter 4 is all about proportional reasoning. What in the world does percents, what do percents have to do with proportional reasoning? Hold on, right there. Do you have any? Okay, so make sure you raise your hand. So proportions and percents are very closely related. So what is a percent? Does anyone know what that word means? What does percent mean? Ellie?
Like part of a whole.
Yeah, what's the whole?
100.
Good. Okay, per 100. That cent, like century or dollars and cents, those are all 100. So it is a ratio comparing a number to 100. It's a ratio comparing a number to 100. So that's basically what a percent is. And that ties back to ratios, and we're going to tie it into proportions. All right. So let me give you here a percent. 60%. Now, this is just a little common thing. Sorry, there you go. This is just something to help you out. When it says 60%, that percent sign has to go at the end of a number, not at the beginning. I've still seen that here, not in 8th grade, but in the upper levels where people put a percent in front of the number, not proper. So this is 60%. Does anyone know what 60% would be as a fraction? So how would I write that as a fraction? 60%. And you don't have to give me a simplified form. Just give me straight fraction right from it. 60 over 100. That is correct. And then how do I make 60 over 100 all the way reduced? So how do I reduce it all the way to its lowest terms? Josh? What would it be? Like, do you know what it would be? 6/10. Okay, 6/10 and then 3/5. Okay, you'd get it eventually to 3/5. Okay, and that's just reducing a fraction. And then I can also represent this percent or this fraction as a decimal. What would be that decimal representation? Taylor? 6/10. So I'll put here 0.6. All these numbers are equal to one another. Okay. I had fun doing this in the last class, and I want to do it today. All right, so I'm looking at this right here, and the lesson, a big part of it, is going to be this. You're going to turn, and don't write this down, because this gets confusing. I'm just doing it for your knowledge, so don't write what I'm going to do next. You're going to turn a percent into a fraction. You're going to turn a percent into a decimal. But you're also going to turn a fraction into a percent and a decimal into a percent. But then you're also going to do a decimal to a percent. And then I say, decimal, to a fraction. And did I miss something here? Thank you. Fraction to a decimal. Okay. So if you can see all that. Have you ever looked on an airplane little magazine and they have like the flight destinations? And they have this going all over the world, or at least all over the United States. So we're doing a lot going back and forth among percents, decimals, and fractions. We're doing all of them, and hopefully you know most of that process anyway. Okay, let's look at example number 1, and let's see how this could work out. So somebody read for me example number 1, please. Taylor? Write 3/4 as a percent. So we're starting nice and easy here. 3/4 as a percent. Okay, there are multiple ways to do this. I'm going to give you 2 ways to do it. You can use one or the other. Sometimes one is easier than the other, and vice versa. It's your choice. Okay, 3/4. Some of you already know, boom, it's this percent. Great. But if you didn't know, because some of them you won't know, how would you get it into a percent? So what's one way to do it? Yep, Leslie?
Turn it into a number over 100.
Okay, I'm going to write this fraction into a proportion comparing x over 100 to 3 over 4. So isn't this read 3 is to 4 as x is to 100? And didn't we do that? yesterday, yep, or a couple days ago as well. Didn't we make proportions? How do I solve for this x? Cross multiply. So I'm going to get 3 times 100, which is 300, equals 4 times x, which is just 4x. Then divide both sides by 4. And what's 300 divided by 4? 75 equals x. Okay, actually you're going to get to this next point. Is my answer 75? What? I thought we did the math right. Okay, what did they ask for in this problem? It says write 3/4 as a percent. That is not a percent unless I put the percent sign for our problems, okay? 75%. And how in the world do I get 75%? I get it by this proportion. Didn't I get 75 for x? Didn't I work out and get 75? What's 75 per 100? It's also known as 75%. Okay, that's how I get it. It's not just like I think of it and it's there. I had to work it out. Is there another way to work this out? Dun, dun, dun. Sorry. Yep.
Would it be incorrect to say 25 times 4 equals 100? So
Nope.
25 times 3.
Yeah, like you do 4 times 25 equals 100. 3 times 25 equals 75. Nope, you can get that. Yep.
Could you have changed up like the way so it's like 100 is to 4 is
Oh.
x is to 3?
Yeah, you could do that. 100 is to 4 as x is to 3. And the whole, when you write that down, you're still going to do 3 times 100, 4 times x. Because that's how we looked at similar triangles. Yes, sir?
Could you make 3/4 into a decimal and then
Good. That's the second way to do it. Yes, yes. You're going to do 3 divided by 4. Okay? Now, 4 doesn't go into 3, does it? And how do I know that 3 goes in the box and 4 goes outside? Like, do I just pick? Is it the smaller number goes in there? The bigger number goes out there? What's the reasoning? Eli?
The denominator goes on the outside.
Okay, good. You can say the first number always goes inside the box, or the second number always goes outside in the denominator numerator. All right, so I'm going to do something like that. Okay, 4 goes into 30 7 times. That's 28, 20. 4 goes into 20 5 times. All right, so you get this number right here, and this is good because we're going to review this. That is not a percent. That's a decimal. So how do I change this to a percent? So if I went this route, what do I do with that decimal, Hayes? 2 to the right goes right there. And then I get 75% over 100. So that's what you do. Okay, that's important. We're going to need to know that. You guys good with that? Okay, how many of you prefer the proportion way on this problem? You're like, I could do this. I get it. How many prefer the decimal way? I can get that. Okay, whether you prefer the proportion or the decimal, or you have no preference, you should be able to do both of them because you're going to know some problems easier, and so we're going to have to work those out. Okay, all right. Look at the example here. Do you see what their two methods are? Method 1, use a proportion. Method 2. Use a calculator. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's what they mean by physical. I'm not going to do that. We're not using a calculator on these. All right, anyway. Example number 2. A. Can someone read for me 2A, please? Yeah, go ahead, Ben. 30 is what percent of 50? Yes, we're using English and grammar. We're going to get this structure down. Yeah, I love grammar. I love it. I ask my wife tons of questions on grammar. Mrs. A, do you say it like this or do you have to say it like that? Is that an adverb or is that an adjective? Do you put ly or not? It's important to know those structural elements to a sentence because in this problem it matters. Okay, ready? Let's translate. 30 is 30. Oh man, that's nice. But what does the word is stand for in math? What do you think is stands for? Equals. So I'm going to point to it so like in your notes you can find out. Oh, is an equal sign. What percent? That's a number that's missing. Now you could use x, but what's more valuable? What variable do you think might make more sense to use? What percent? What percent?
P.
P. All right, so I'm going to use the letter P. All right, that's what percent. So that's how I got that letter. You can use x. It's not like, oh my goodness, you use x. But P makes more sense, especially with your final answer. What does the word of stand for in math? Oh, I heard many things. I still haven't heard it. Multiply. It means multiply. So of means to multiply something. And then 50, thankfully, means 50. Okay. That's my translation there.
What?
Yeah, they're going to use the proportion method, and we'll go over that.
So 50p.
Yep. So I'm going to rewrite this here. 30 equals 50p. Have you ever worked with an equation like that? Yes, I hope you have. It's just a one-step equation. What's going on with this variable? It's being multiplied by, so you divide by 50. Okay, and then if you reduce this fraction, you get your 3/5 equals p. Is that my answer? What?
It's asking for a percent.
Okay, listen to me very carefully. If it asks you for a percent, you probably should have a number with what next to it? Percent sign. If it gives you a percent, like it gives you 50%, and then they ask you for something, do you need to give me a percent answer? No, it already gave it to you. So this is not my correct answer. How do I change 3/5 into a percent? How many ways can you do it? Yeah, two main ways. We'll say there are many ways to do it. What way do you prefer on this one? What do you guys think? Your choice. Give me something. Yeah, what way are you going to do to get this as a percent? Ellie?
3/5 equals what? That equals x.
Yeah, I think.
Why did we do that first step? Like, if it says 30 is what percent of 100?
Sorry, what?
Like, why did we?
Wait. What percent of 50?
Okay.
I thought it was minor detail. Okay, go ahead.
What did I say? Okay, 30 is what percent of 50? Why did we do the first step? Why didn't we just do 30 over 50 equals what over 100?
You could have done that. We're going to go over that next. I'm just showing one way to do it. So, yes.
Yes.
Look at 3b. Okay. Let's keep going. All right. So you're going to do your cross multiplication, or you understand 5 times what equals 100? 5 times what equals 100? 20. So 3 times 20 equals. So is 60 my answer? 60%. What did they ask for in this problem? Oh, wow. Got thrown off there a little bit. That's P, because we use that variable up there. 60%. Yes, ma'am.
Why can't you, when you were at like 30 over, and you're going to divide it by 50, like back here, why couldn't you just gone ahead and did it? Because I did, and I still got 60.
3B.
Oh, okay.
That's what I did.
That's okay. That's all right. Listen, guys, I know that there are shortcuts. I know that there are shortcuts. I get that. And a lot of these, especially the examples or the first examples, you can do a shortcut. But you got to learn the long way, because sometimes a shortcut's just not there. So what do you do there? You have to learn that long way. So it's okay. It's all right. Can someone read 2B? Example 2B. I get it, guys. I get it. And I've heard these questions for many years. Yes?
20 is what percent of 30?
Is what percent of what? Sorry?
30.
Okay, 20 is what percent of 30? All right, you're going to translate this, and then we'll get into those other ones where you can do it a little bit differently, but let's just translate this because that's important too. 20, what does the word is stand for? Equals. What percent? You can use the letter P. And then of stands for? Of always stands for what?
Multiplication.
Yeah, multiplication. And if you don't remember that, hopefully you have your notes. All right, of 30. So 20 equals 30p. All right, you could divide both sides by 30. You'll get your 2/3 equals p, but that's not your answer. Let's go to the proportion way. All right, so how would you get this into a proportion here? So a proportion has two ratios that equal one another. I always know one of the proportions. I always know it's going to be some number over 100, right?
Correct.
Right? I know that's going to be there. So what number goes here and what number goes there? What a great question. Yes, sir? Okay, you could do 20 and 30? Yep. All right, and then we already learned yesterday and the day before that instead of using 20 and 30, can you do something that make those numbers easier to deal with? 2/3, yeah, do 2/3. And then you cross multiply. So what's 2 times 100? 200. And what's 3 times p? 3p. That's right. And then what do you do to both sides? Divide by 3. Okay, let's go ahead and divide these out, and let's be very careful here. Your answer is either going to be a repeating decimal or a fraction. You need to get me the fractional form. So this one's not going to be hard, and I'm looking ahead at the homework later on. Remember how on your quiz, the test, the last test, remember you had the mean that was 7.09090909? Yeah. No, if you didn't remember or you didn't get it, sorry, but it should have been that. But what did you have to do with it? Round it. But imagine having to get 090909 in your work and having to show that. I'm going to make it easier for you, okay? This is going to be easier. Let's start dividing. 3 goes into 20. 6 times. That's 18. With the remainder of 2, bring down to 0. 3 goes into 20. Yeah, hold on. Okay, so you get your 6 and your 6 there. You get 18 here. You get a remainder of 2. You can start bringing that decimal there. But I want you to leave it as 66 and what over what? 2/3. Is that my answer?
No.
What's wrong with it? Oh, wait. Percent. What did they ask for in this problem? A percent. I want the percent. And get comfortable with these because I know some of you are like, no, I hate these. Use them. You'll get better at them. Yeah. They often use decimals. You could say 66.5%. You could use 66.5%. Yeah. But this is going to make this division easier. You're done. That actually is not super common. They're going to round it to 66.7, which is not exact, or they're going to change it to that. But yeah, all right. Let's go to 3. Oh, my 3A and 3B. Who thought of these? All right. Can you read for me, Harper, can you read for me 3A? Example 3A, please. 60% of what number is what? 54. Question mark. Okay. This is where I need you to be careful. My answer, is it going to be a percent?
No.
What? Why not? The other two were. Because this one, there's already a percent. Don't give me a percent answer. It says 60% of what? Number is 54. I apologize. So what number? So I'm not looking for percent. They already gave a percent. All right, so let's translate this. 60%. What's of mean again?
It means multiplication.
Times what number? I'm just going to use n because it's not a percent. It's just a number. Is stands for 54. Okay, here's my problem. There are two main ways to work it out. Two main ways to work it out. So I'm going to do it two ways. You're going to tell me which one you prefer, and that's fine. Wow. I can change a decimal into a blah and a blah. Fraction or decimal. Good. So what would 60% be as a fraction? Anyone know? Reduced. Yeah, I think we saw that already. So 3/5 times n equals 54. I'm going to work this way first. How do you solve for n here?
You divide by, no, you multiply by 5/3.
You can divide both sides by 3/5 or multiply by 5/3. Both sides.
Wait, Mr.
Yes, sir.
If you're not dividing both sides by 3/5, wouldn't you just end up multiplying by 5/3?
Yes, if you divide by 3/5, you end up doing this anyway. Yep, you just save yourself some steps. All right, and then does anyone know if you can cancel anything out here?
Yes.
Yeah, how many times?
19. 17, 18.
There you go. Right. You're there. He was testing me. I was like, okay, yeah. All right, 18 times 5.
100.
Yes, he said 90. Okay, 90.
Over 1, 90%. Wait, no,
Yes.
What? I thought we're looking for a percent.
Or not.
They already gave me one. All right, let's see if it makes sense. 60% of 90 is 54. Does that make sense logically? Yeah, it's saying about half of 90 is 54. About half of 90 is 54. Yeah, that makes sense. What is half of 90, by the way? 45. So 60% of 90 should be a little bit bigger than 45. Use your thinking because you can clarify these for yourself. That's fractional form. Decimal form. How do I change 60% to a decimal? How do you do that, though? Like, what's the process you go through either mentally or twice to the left? Good. 0.6 n equals 54. When you're turning a percent to a decimal, move the decimal twice to the left. When you're changing a decimal to a percent, move it twice to the right. So if you can remember that. And I hope you understand that 60% and 0.6, yeah, they're the same thing. Okay, divide both sides by 0.6. Cancel. Oh, no, what's that? Well, let's figure it out. But I'm guessing it looks like that. Okay, 54 divided by 0.6. Do you divide it that way?
No.
One time. 6 goes into 540. 9 times. 0 times. What's my answer? N equals? N equals 90.
Do we have to put n equals when we use 10 times?
No, just put the number or the percent. Good question. Okay. All right, I want you to do B. Do it your way. Have it your way. Do B. Example 3B. They do it one way, you do it your way. Just do it a way. Don't do it. Just write the answer. Yes, do it a correct way. All right, let me ask this question as some of you are already working. Do you think the fractional way is best or the decimal way is best? I think the decimal. Why? Because you're going to have to multiply by a decimal already. So might as well make them both decimals. Could you do it the fractional way? Of course you can. You would just make that a fraction, and you could change that into a mixed number, then to improper, then multiply. That's fine. But I think doing this is slightly easier. Oh, by the way, when you're multiplying decimals, do the decimals have to line up? No. Can they line up? Yeah, but don't worry about that as, oh, they're lined up, I can work it out. No. So 20, 30, 15, decimal goes here. I get n equals what? 15%. No, they already gave me a percent. All right, what number is 40% of 37.5? 15 is 40% of 37.5. You could say 15 is about half of 37.5. And I hope that makes sense. You guys good on these? How many think you got it? How many think you need more practice? How many of you have no opinion? How many of you don't want to raise your hand? Okay. I need you to do on page 218, just do number 8 and number 12. Just do number 8 and 12 and you're done. The struggles we go through. Yeah, on page 218, number 8 and number 12. Just do those. If you can do those, you're good. So on number 8, it says turn 2 25ths into a percent and a decimal. So do it as both. And you're like, man, we got 2 in one problem. I hope you realize there's a big link. There's a way to figure one right after you find the other. Not yet. Sorry, just so that you got 8 and 12. Okay, can someone help me out with the fraction? Can you turn it into a percent and or a decimal? I really think if you can change it, well, no, it just depends. It really does. I wish I could give you like, do this way, you'll get it. But it depends. I would change this, though, into a percent. So how would you turn this into percent? Anyone know?
You would do...
I look at it or I write it, like I think of it or I write down this. 25 times what equals 100? 4. So 2 times 4 equals 8. So what would be my answer? 8%. So that's one answer. So 2 25ths is 8%. And then that's, sorry, there's something there too. Okay. Then how do I change that to a decimal? I move the decimal twice to the left. So if the decimal were here, 1, 2, I get 0.08. Another way to think of it is like this. That's 8 over 100, isn't it? Or 8 hundredths. Is that 8 hundredths? So there has to be a link with that. Sorry?
That's not a percent.
This one right here? No. This one is, these two represent the same value. 8% is 8 hundredths.
Oh, but I thought it told you to get the percent.
Oh, I want you to get the percent and the decimal. So it says write each ratio as a percent and then as a decimal. That's all right. Yeah, and you'll have that on your homework too. Okay, last one real quick. What percent? My answer has to have what symbol? The percent symbol. So P times 75 equals 16. What do I do to both sides? Divide by 75. Oh, 75 times what equals 100? Wait, what did I ask?
1/4.
No. 3/4.
Yeah, I don't know. So what do we do here? You divide 16 divided by 75. That's going to be tough. There's another way to do it.
Move the decimal.
Oh, come on. You cheated.
Proportions, gotta love them. You could do that. You can figure this out. You'll get it, no problem. But you could do that too. Either way gets it.
Wait, so you said the process of setting up the problem again, so what percent of 75 is 16? So
So what I would do is I would write it like this first, like translate it. And then solve for P. So you get this. And then I realize, okay, I want to make that a percent, right? So if I set it up as a ratio and then as a proportion, it's just got to be like that. You could go from here to here directly, but what a lot of people do is they mix these two numbers, they get a different number. So be careful with that.
Can I tell you how I set up mine?
You may.
I put 75 over 100 equals 16.
75 over 100 is 16. So 75 is to 100 as 16 is to x. That's a proportion. That has to be right, because aren't you going to do 16 times 100?
Yes.
And then divided by 75? Got it. So sorry, what's my answer here? What'd you guys get? What's x? 21 and...
Oh, 53. Right?
Sorry, 21 and... A third. 21 and a third. Percent. So if you're not sure about that, 1600 divided by 75. 75 goes into 160 twice. 75 goes into 100 once. With a remainder of 25. You can keep going, or you can say 21 and 25 75ths, which reduces to 1/3, and then percent. So that's the way to do it. All right, thank you guys.